Good thing the armor shop had both a ceremonial sword and staff. Also, there's something I kinda wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I know. You want to ask if this staff looks like it's floating in midair to humans. Is that it?
How do you know?
One look in your eyes says it all. Even if it's an item that humans can see, when Seraphim infuse mana into it, it will become unrecognizable by humans. The opposite is true as well. Anything made by a Seraph can be recognized by humans if mana gets infused in that item. Although, it's kind of a rare ability.
So Gramps' pipe is like that.
Quite perceptive of you.
In fact, Gramps told you everything you just told me, didn't he?
That's also quite perceptive of you.
Shouldn't we tell Saray and the others about how useful the Lords of the Land are?
If you keep babying them instead of letting them think for themselves, they're just gonna turn into, well, babies. But then again, they do need to know things like how the affected area is predetermined, and how boons increase as you engage in more battles.
And also how, if there's a skill you want, you could ask a Norman to increase the enemy drop rate.
And not to mention how, as you acquire more boons, the amount of boons you can make effective increases as well. If they knew that much, it'd be plenty.
I just want to make sure that, if they wind up in an area with no boons, they know to focus first on restoring the Lord of the Land's blessing to the area.
Even if you don't have confidence in your battle abilities, common sense is common sense, no matter how you cut it.
Huh. Interesting.
Did you eavesdrop on our conversation?
What, is that a crime? Why are these things happening?
And this time, we're against the humans, and it's a war which makes it even worse.
Yes. We may hurt people during the process, just trying to get them to stop fighting. That may cause emotional pain for Saray, which in turn may create malevolence.
How could that be? If that's true, then the chance of a shepherd not being affected by malevolence is about as small as a pinhole.
That's what it means to get involved with humans. And that is the way of the shepherd.
If only he could forget about Alicia like a snap of a finger.
There's no way he can.
I know. That's exactly why he became a shepherd, right?
Yes.
I guess I need to prepare myself.
I ate too much today. My stomach's all achy.
Oh my, you shouldn't stuff yourself like that, Rose.
By the way, I was curious. Can Seraphim get upset stomachs or gain weight?
To say it in a fairy tale sort of way, your thoughts become reality.
What's that supposed to mean?
We won't gain weight from consuming calories, but we will from thinking, I'll gain weight if I eat this much.
Whoa! So does that mean you'll be okay as long as you don't think like that?
No. Denying the reality of things leads to malevolence. A seraph must not be detached from reality. So at the end of it all, you could say we're the same as humans.
This is so confusing.
You know, there's something I've been wondering.
Yeah, what?
You're an earth seraph, right? So why do you use an umbrella for a weapon? Isn't that more like a water element?
I guess I can tell you. Ready to have your mind blown? I'm using it precisely because I'm an earth seraph.
Huh?
You know about the dominant relationships among the elements, earth, water, fire, and wind, right? Earth is stronger than water. Meaning that especially when using seraphic arts, you can increase your mana output by using the subordinate element as a catalyst.
What?
Just to let you know, Lailah has been using wind-imbued paper, and Dezel's pendulum has been using earth and minerals as their catalysts. The staff that you've been using is fundamentally an earth element. You'd have to be a complete idiot for using something like that as a water seraph. Is what I'd like to say, but I'll hold back.
But you did just say it.
Well, if you've been using it as a way to train yourself, or a way to incorporate physical attacks on top of seraphic arts, then you're not doing it completely wrong, at least. The longer you live, the easier it is for you to choose to do what takes the least amount of effort. But if you really aren't satisfied and want to grow stronger, then you're just going to have to do things the hard way if you want to go beyond whatever ability you were born with.
Huh.
Anyways, you've been using your staff without knowing what it's for. Good job, dummy.
Ugh.
I think the one who's been writing on those monoliths is Maven.
The words in the ancient tongue inscribed on them do have a distinctive written style. It could have been him.
I think I've seen them before, too. I couldn't read them, of course, but when I asked Maven, he said, "It's my secret code."
That does sound like Maven.
I wonder if he placed those monuments in various regions to help guide the shepherd.
They may have been built in a different order, but for them to be placed progressively as you head south of Elysia doesn't seem coincidental.
But judging from how weathered they look, surely they were made more than 10, 20 years ago.
Think we've been following the footsteps of a former shepherd?
You might be right.
This town's just bursting with sinister rumors, isn't it?
Yeah, no wonder they call it the Age of Chaos.
And a lot of them sure sound like the work of Hellions.
If you're interested, why don't we investigate?
But we have someplace to be already.
Taking a little side trek isn't gonna kill us. It's not like we promised a specific time frame or anything.
I'm with Rose.
Me too. It's a good opportunity. Why squander it?
Fair point. All right, let's do it. No regrets.
Except the regret of getting involved.
There's something I want to tell you, since you've acquired the power to armatize.
Yeah?
Hidden arts are stronger than martial arts. Seraphic arts are stronger than hidden arts. And martial arts are stronger than seraphic arts. That's the basics. But we can only use martial arts and seraphic arts, which means that Seraphim aren't able to accommodate all types of enemies. You guys can use martial arts and hidden arts on your own. And during armatization, you can use hidden arts and seraphic arts.
Human, Seraphim, and Armatization. So we can compensate for each of the 3 different types depending on how we use them.
Yeah. For example, for enemies that don't use any seraphic arts, it would be more advantageous if you armatize. Of course, you may encounter enemies which can be taken down more easily when you are not armatized as well. It just means that the armatization isn't all-powerful.
Right.
There's the advantage of being able to concentrate 2 powers into one. But there's also a disadvantage to that as well. Assess your situation at all times. But the worst situation you can get yourself in is getting in a pinch from overthinking things. You gotta find your own balance out there.
I'll take things one step at a time. Thanks, Dezel. Could you tell me more about equipment skills?
Way to have your head in the game. First, let's go over the basic skills.
Basic skills can be broken down into 10 groups with 5 different elements. So in total, it's 10 times 5. Think you can do the math, genius?
There are 50 Norman named after the basic skill they offer. Each one has the power to draw forth that specific skill.
So if you find a skill that you like, go find that Norman and send them off to the Lord of the Land to do your dirty work.
Elements and skill groups aren't just for tweaking the effects of your skills. They're also closely linked to bonus skills. That's all the time we have for today. See you again next week.
Next week? We're doing this again?
Now then, this time we'll be covering skill groups.
We're not going to talk about bonus skills?
We're the ones doing the teaching around here. Shut up and listen.
Yes, ma'am.
It wouldn't be prudent to explain everything at once, so I'll start off with the ones you can obtain in the beginning phases. So first, there's the status column. This increases basic stats by a certain percentage. Here, it's wise to improve upon your given strengths.
Then there's the HP column. If you're prone to damage, it's best to improve on this. Or just don't get hit in the first place, doofus.
But anyways, as you can see, aligning the same skill group together to carry out a tactical battle is one option that you have.
And that's where the bonus skill comes into play.
See you again next week!
Next week again?
We sure have had some fantastic weather lately. On that note, it's time to continue our skill lecture.
If you say so.
Today's lesson is about bonus skills. Aren't you ecstatic?
Sure.
You can probably enact a couple skills without even thinking too much about it. But from the combination of basic skills you use comes...
Wait for it.
bonus skills! But hullabaloo aside, the way it works is actually super simple. There are only 3 special rules.
There's stack, a bonus that activates when you equip the same skill multiple times. Lumping them together like that will give you a little extra boost.
The effectiveness will vary based on how many of the same skill you stacked, but at the end of the day, it produces only one stack bonus.
So when you equip 4 of the same skills, the stack for the second or the third ones don't occur.
Next, when you equip all 5 skills belonging to the same group, you have a group union.
For this one, you'll need to have collected all 5 skills of a specific column. The bonus skill will further enhance those skills' effects.
And lastly, there are elemental unions, which trigger when you place skills of the same element next to each other. But...
Oops, out of time. See you again next week.
Seriously?
Today's lesson is about bonus skills triggered by elemental unions. If a group union is vertical, you can say an elemental union is horizontal.
unlike a group union, you can activate an elemental union with as few as 2 skills, so long as they're placed side by side.
Since there's 10 groups, does that mean you can put anywhere between 2 and 10 skills together?
Yeah. Depending on the number of skills you have lined up, the effects will change. You can even duplicate the same effects if you want.
So like, if you have 2 each of the non-elemental skills, Attack and Rangus equipped,
You'll get 2 Elemental Union 2 bonus skills, reducing non-elemental damage by 20% instead of 10. Not only that, but you'll get 2 Stack 2 effects on top of that.
But you need to be careful. If you decide to equip just one of the third non-elemental skill, Blued,
The bonus skill for Elemental Union 3 will activate, but the 2 Elemental Union 2 effects will both disappear.
so for Elemental Union bonus skills, it first checks the total length of the combo and then calculates how many of that combo to activate?
Yep, bonus skills are beneficial, but you have to really start thinking things through if you want to optimize your strengths.
It probably won't end well if you just use different equipment together blindly, so think carefully about what kind of equipment you want to use beforehand.
So, could you have an item where all 4 slots are the same skill in a 4-stack? Or an item that, just by itself, triggers an Elemental Union 4 bonus?
That's right. With proper item fusion and equipment coordination, you can draw out enormous power from skills, far beyond their basic effects. And there's one important announcement to be made.
Next week again, huh?
This is the last lesson.
What?
Really?
Is there any sort of rhyme or reason to what happens when you fuse equipment?
Great question, Rose. You're right. There's nothing random in the fusion of equipment.
Can you just tell it to me short and simple before I fall asleep?
Sure. First, the rules for fusing 2 different equipment skills only apply to those located in the same slot.
So it actually does matter which slot each skill is positioned at.
Yes, what skill is placed in which slot is a very important factor in equipment fusion.
So it's important to...
Well, it's... Huh? Are you asleep?
Tell me more about equipment fusion.
Okay, since fusion rules apply only to skills in the same exact slot, there are only 3 types of combinations you need to remember. First rule, if they're both the same skill, then that's the skill you get after fusion.
Simple enough. I'm guessing that same rule applies when both slots are empty.
Yes, the second rule is, if the slot's empty on one item and filled on the other, you get the skill from the filled slot.
Got it. So the big question is, what happens when 2 different skills are in the same slot?
That's right. In this last case, a new skill is born from the 2 old ones, but it's sealed off temporarily. And the way to break the seal is, oh my.
What comes after, and the way to break the seal is, oh my.
Oh, were you actually awake? You can break the seal on an item's skill slot by engaging in sufficient battles with that item equipped.
Huh. Can I assume raising proficiency in that item to 1 star is enough to do the trick?
Yes, there are certain rules governing which skills will be produced by fusion. You can check this before fusion, but know this. If they're skills of the same element, you'll get a different skill from that element. If they're from the same group, you'll get a different skill from that group. If both element and group are different, you'll get a skill whose rarity lies somewhere between the 2.
What about when you fuse equipment with sealed skills?
Ah, yes. That's a very important note to consider. Slots with sealed skills count as empty for fusion purposes. Therefore, if you really want to keep a certain skill, but you don't have another item with an empty slot, You can use one with a sealed slot instead to... Really? Sleeping at a time like this?
What are you doing?
I'm fusing different types of equipment together.
Oh, you mean the thing that's a royal pain and takes forever?
By fusing equipment, you bring out its full potency and create something entirely new. Isn't it wonderful?
Boy, I'll say.
We Seraphim have plenty of time on our hands, so it's important to have hobbies.
That's your hobby?
Hey, Rose! You dropped something.
Oh, thanks. That's the equipment order form.
Order form? You mean the one you have to bring to the store?
Yep. Are you interested?
I guess I do wonder about how business and trade really works. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you lived your whole life without money.
I hadn't really seen it before I went to Lady Lake.
Well, money's an important part of human society, especially considering the equipment we use can mean life or death out there. You want to learn?
Yeah. Please, teach me the basics.
Dezel, you're quite knowledgeable about Hellions. So are Lailah and Edna.
Of course. They're my targets. You have to know your enemy.
Well, yeah, but sometimes I run into some that psychologically I just can't stand.
Then you must become more knowledgeable about them. It's easier to deal with if you just treat them as data stored in your brain.
Does it really work that way? You do have a point, though. I'll try to take things in a more positive light.
I can't protect you forever, you know.
Dezel's windstepping skill sure is useful in traveling around.
Yup. When you say wind, speed is definitely the first thing that comes to mind.
Wind isn't the only thing that relates to speed.
What do you mean?
There's only one source of power. And besides, there may be multiple factors that influence the outcome.
I'm not sure I get what you mean.
It doesn't matter if it's water or fire. You can produce similar effects depending on how you use those powers.
Dezel, do you think you can teach me how to use them?
I can only teach you the basics. The rest all depends on you.
Looking out for others as always, huh, Dezel?
Whatever.
So which one of you influenced the other into ruin-exploring mania?
Man, I don't even remember.
You were the one who started it, obviously. Always dragging me around like that.
But you were the one who first took interest in the treasure hunting aspect of it all.
That's only because I wanted there to be some sort of overarching goal to what we were doing.
Well, I've learned one thing from all this.
What is it?
That I don't care about this stuff at all.
That's all you got out of this?
Dezel, do you know a lot about ruins?
I do have some knowledge about them since I've been around, but I've never been interested enough to explore.
It's really fun to imagine what these artifacts have been through over the years. Ponder over our new discoveries, close in on the truth, or expand on what we already know.
I do have the ability to sense certain smells left behind in the earth, to detect humans and certain objects left behind since ages past.
Whoa, you can sense through smells? Is that something even someone like me could learn?
You can learn through experience to a degree, but you need talent if you want to truly master it.
I'll try my hardest. Let me know if I overlook anything important.
Yeah, as long as I don't get into the way of your precious hobby.
Lailah, sit here for a second.
What is it?
Just take a seat. So, you have a lot of Norman acquaintances, but don't seem terribly interested in Norman.
Well, I mean, we're just friends is all.
What the? Just sit down already. Lailah, you're underestimating them. Remember, we need to catch 50 of them or else.
You really like the Norman, don't you, Edna? You even got one on your umbrella.
You kidding me? I totally don't like them. Now, why won't you sit down?
The last time I sat down, it was to pull an all-nighter. That's bad for fair skin like mine, so good night.
Hey, sit down.
Being able to fuse equipment at the shop is really convenient to help prep for battle.
Yes. It's amazing how even among humans, there are those who can extract the full potential of certain equipment like the divine artifact.
Plus, it looks like we can fuse unneeded equipment together to breathe new use into them.
I have some experience with this sort of thing as well, although it may take time to get used to it again.
Wow, will I be able to do it someday?
For those that don't possess the required innate qualities, I've heard that it feels like their nerve cells are getting sliced from the back of their heads.
Oh.
I never thought I'd see so many Hellions. Kinda makes me feel guilty for not being able to see them before.
You should. Ignorance is a crime, you know.
So, don't you think the quality of equipment is crucial in surviving tough battles?
They also say that true masters don't choose their weapons.
But since we're no masters, I thought it might be better if we build relationships with the shop owners and order from them.
Yeah, well, they say the relationship only lasts as long as the money does.
Yeah, I agree. So what I'm saying is, it's important to build the relationship with the shopkeeper rather than just haggling to get the price down.
I can't even tell if you guys are arguing or not.